Hello everyone, welcome to Skills Build Training YouTube channel. Myself Mohammad Zubair, and this channel is all about showing you how to become an IT pro really fast. So the topic of today's video is top 5 best Linux distros for students. So without any further ado, let's get started. Before jumping into the discussion about the top 5 Linux distribution for student or the distribution which students should consider, let's see some of the factors which every Linux distribution which I'm going to talk about should have, or what will be the essential features which a student might look for in some particular Linux distribution. So the first one is good for laptops. As we know, students always like and prefer to have laptops over desktops. This is because laptops are more portable and compact and takes less space, which is crucial for keeping up with the student lifestyle. A proper desktop takes up large space, and that makes it non-portable and hard to use everywhere. So we need to make sure that the Linux distribution we are going to select is compatible for the laptops as well. The second factor is availability of wide tools and utilities. So it all depends on the distros you are using. You will have access to different software repositories. For example, if you are using an Arch-based Linux, you will most likely to have access to the Arch package repository, and the Arch user repository contains almost 60,000 packages combined. In contrast, user of a Debian-based distro will have access to the different repository, which is a Debian repository. In this case, you will have access to almost 70,000 packages. So that being said, we should note that, and we should be concerned about that, almost all Linux distros will be compatible with the major apps like LibreOffice, Firefox, VLC, GIMP, VS Code, etc. If you plan on using mostly the mainstream application, then almost every distro will provide you the basic app. But the Linux distribution, which I'll be talking about in this video, will have some basic features which student will like and student will need. The third factor is helpful and active community. The community of a particular Linux distro is as important as the distro itself. Obviously, because when you will be using a particular Linux distribution, you will eventually run into some problems and issue, and when that will happen, you will need to head over to some particular community or forum to discuss your issues with the other user of that Linux distribution, and eventually the more experienced person or the people who are using that Linux distribution from the long time will be there to help you out with your problem. So these were some of the things which every Linux distribution should have, or these were some of the factors which every student must consider while going or choosing for a particular Linux distribution. And now let's move on to our Linux distribution. First one in my list is Ubuntu. This Linux distribution is one of the most popular Linux distribution out there, and along with that, it is also the one that gets the most recommendations to the new users. It prioritizes the ease of use and has things as beginner friendly as possible. So people coming over from Windows or Mac, or users who are new to the computer in general, will find Ubuntu extremely welcoming. Along with that, as students look for help and solution online, so most of the solutions, tutorial and guides you will come across will be based and will be made in Ubuntu because it is massively popular. Proprietary software that makes its way into Linux will almost likely make it available for Ubuntu first. This gives Ubuntu users access to a wide range of apps and packages. So you will get almost every major application and software in Ubuntu as well. And coming to the community, Ubuntu has two main forums, Ask Ubuntu and Ubuntu forums. If you run into any problem or have any question, you can drop it there, and there are a lot of chances that in first 2 hours you will get your answer, as there are a lot of people and has a huge community where People who are using Ubuntu from a long time will be there to answer your queries and help you in your problems. Now let's have a small demo of Ubuntu. I'm using Ubuntu from a very long time, and as you can see, I have some scripts on my desktop as well. I was working on different scripts and I found out that Ubuntu is very easy and very supportive in terms of working with scripts. This is the layout of Ubuntu. Here we have some applications and some software which are docked on the left side, and down here we have applications button. If I press it or click on it, or you can press your super key as well. For those who do not know what super key is the same one which is the Windows key in your Windows operating system. Now I will go to my applications. Here you have different applications which are by default here. For example, here you have Firefox as your web browser. Then we have LibreOffice for our documents, and down here we have a Rhythmbox for our audio files. And here we have startup application, and in here you can set and you can have all the settings about your startup application just like the Windows. And here we have software and updates. From these two repositories we'll be able to update our software and our packages. And then here we have Thunderbird. Thunderbird basically is a mail client, and you will see Thunderbird in almost every Linux distribution. Now the very important thing is Ubuntu software. This is the repository from where you will download and you will install a lot of applications and software for free. And one more thing which is very important and which might be very surprising for some of the students, and that is Visual Studio Code. We get Visual Studio Code by default in Ubuntu 21.04. If you are a student or particularly a computer science student, this tool will be really helpful for you in your future use, because this tool has the support of almost every programming language. If you see over here, we have time, date, and we also have notification in here. And if you want to stop your notification, just toggle this button and you will not receive any notification in future. And on this side we have some widgets. Here we have volume, then we have our internet, then we have our battery status, and we can lock or power off our system from here. And these are the settings. If you click on it, it will take you to the system settings. So I will just click on it, and these are the system settings. From here you can do different tweaks and you can modify the system as per your liking and as per your need. I will just close this one. Now I'll go to my browser and I'll show you one thing, and that is Ubuntu community. This is the Ask Ubuntu, and here you can see people have posted different questions, and it says computer freezing on startup with GDM3 after possible package issues. And here you can see it says one answer, because people have given the answer to this question. And here you can see we have two answers to this question, and 3000 people have viewed this question. So this is the community from where you can get the answer of your problem regarding your Ubuntu. And the second community is Ubuntu forums. Here you can see again people have posted different questions and people have discussed different things. Here you can see we have 23,217 discussions, and same goes for different other topics as well. Ubuntu has a very strong community. I will close this one. And the last feature of Ubuntu which I'm going to talk about is multiple desktop. If I press my super key, here you can see we have a small window appeared on the right side of our screen. What is this? Let me open my files here. Now, if I press my super key, if I drag my files, and here you can see we have one more small window appeared on the bottom of the first one. Now, as you can see, as I have dropped the files in my second window, the third one have just appeared on its own. If I open my any other application or software, and if I drop it into the third one, the fourth one will appear on its own. What is the meaning of having different desktop? Well, it allows you and it helps you to work on something particular on one desktop. For example, if I'm working on some programming or I'm coding some software, what I can do, I can open everything related to my programming in one desktop. So this is how you can have multiple desktop, and this is how you can keep your different working concerns separate from each other. And with that, we got to the end of Ubuntu's introduction. And now let's move on to the next Linux distribution which I have chosen for you in the list. The next Linux distribution which I'm going to talk about is Linux Mint. Linux Mint is an Ubuntu based distro primarily targeted at users who are migrating from Windows to Linux. But with that being said, its focus on stability, reliability, and ease of use makes it perfect for a student who wants an operating system that works right out of the box. As it is based on Ubuntu, so it has a lot of features inherited from the Ubuntu, and it also has the support of software repositories same as the one for Ubuntu. And you can download any package and software in it, and you can apply any solution of the problem of Ubuntu in the Linux Mint as well. For example, every guide, tutorial, and how-to available for Ubuntu will seamlessly translate to Linux Mint. It means you can apply all those things in Linux Mint as well. This also holds for software availability. Almost every software that works on Ubuntu will work on Linux Mint as well. However, unlike Ubuntu, Linux Mint has no corporate agenda. It is a completely community-driven project where the user is the central priority. They don't track or collect user data like we have this in Ubuntu, and also it doesn't push user to use Snap apps. In fact, Snap Store doesn't even come with the distro and needs to be downloaded, installed manually. So this is a one major good point than Ubuntu. Furthermore, Linux Mint offers users the option to choose between two windows like desktop environments. As we have two desktop environments available in it, Cinnamon and Mate. Both of them are far lighter than Ubuntu, which means Linux Mint will demonstrate better performance. Here you can see on your screen, I have my Mozilla Firefox open, and in that I'm on the community page of Linux Mint. It has almost 35,000 website users, and these are the number of tutorials available in it. This is the community, and here if you have any problem, you can come here and you will have all the solution to your problem, because you will meet and you will see the people here who are experienced and are working and using on Linux Mint from very long time. It means Linux Mint has a very big and mature community. I'll just close this one, and now let's explore Linux Mint. I'll go to my menu. Here you can see we have different categories. If I hover over to accessories, here you can see I have all the applications and all the softwares which are related to accessories. Then I have graphics, internet, office, and so on. If I go into my internet, here I have all the applications which are related to internet. Like for web browser, I have Firefox, then we have Hexcat, and for mail, we have Thunderbird. Same goes for other options. Like for office, we have LibreOffice, then we have calendar, and so on. So just like any other good Linux distribution, Linux Mint also offers a lot of applications and software. And along with that, those software or applications which are not available in here by default, you can download and install them. One very prominent and good thing about Linux Mint is its structure, or you can say its user interface, is very similar to the one in Windows. Here you can see in Windows we get start button here, and in Linux Mint we get the menu button here. And along with that, we get some folders and some applications icon, and on the right side we have battery indicator, we have our volume, and then we have our time, and we get all these options in Windows as well. So it will be very easier to learn and understand for those people who are coming from Windows to Linux Mint, as it is user friendly and it has almost same layout and interface like the one in Windows. So that was all about Linux Mint. Now I will close this one, and now let's move on to the third Linux distribution. The next Linux distribution in the list for you is Manjaro. It is based on Arch Linux distribution. Arc has a reputation for being extremely powerful and equally complicated. As such, it's really recommended to new Linux users, but Manjaro manages to take all the powerful features of Arc and make it available in a user-friendly package. One of the main beauty of using Arc is that it's a rolling release distro. It means that user will get access to frequent software updates almost as soon as they release. Not only that, Arc user have access to the AUR repository, which is Arc user repository, which is home to tens of thousands of packages. Manjaro takes these features and makes it super simple and accessible to new users. One of their most notable feature is the use of PAMAC, their excellent graphical package manager, which makes searching, installing, and updating software super simple. And PAMAC also gets integrated with other repos so you can access everything under one roof. And with the help of that, we can have access to a lot of package manager. This makes Manjaro the perfect distro for students who like to play around with different apps and discover new software. The distro is also insanely customizable and supports almost all the popular Linux desktop environment, like we can have GNOME, KDE, XFCE, Cinnamon, etc. If we talk about some of the pros of Manjaro, then it has the access to AUR, which is Arc user repository. Then it has up-to-date and access to new software. Then it uses the excellent PAMAC GUI package manager. It has active and friendly community. And last but not the least is, it is based on Arc Linux. Now let's have a demo of Manjaro Linux. If you see to the interface, it looks like the one in the window. In window we have Windows Start button here, and in Manjaro we have our menu button here. In Windows we get time, volume and battery update on the right bottom side, and same goes for Manjaro as well. Now let's go to the menus. Here we have different categories of different menus. If I click on all application or accessories, here you can see we have all these accessories. If I click on graphics, here we have all the softwares, or you can say the applications which are related to graphics. If I click on internet, here we have everything related to the internet. As you can see, we have Firefox as the web browser. Then we have Thunderbird as our default mail client, and same goes for other system menus. And now I will search for PAMAC, which I was talking about earlier. And here you can see we have PAMAC available in our Manjaro. And now I will search for Kventum Manager as well. It is also available, and as you can see, it says a simple GUI for installing, selecting and managing Kventum themes. So it helps you to choose different themes for your desktop environment. Manjaro offers different desktop environments. Here you can see we have two small windows. If I click on this one, it is active, and now if I click on this one, at the moment this one is active. You might not have seen any difference, so I'll open my files, and here you can see my files are open in this desktop environment. If I go back to my first one, here you can see I do not have anything in this one. Well, the benefit of having different desktop environment is we can do different works in different environments. For example, in this environment, I can open everything which are related to each other, and I will not get confused, or my things will not get mixed up with each other, and because of that, I'll be able to put more concentration on my work. So that is a really cool thing in Manjaro. And now let's move on to the fourth Linux distribution. The next Linux distribution in my list is Fedora. Fedora Linux distribution is primarily for the developers. As such, it isn't ideal for non-tech savvy students, but on the other hand, it is one of the most recommended distros for students in computer science. Fedora is based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or you can say that Red Hat Enterprise Linux is based on Fedora. Well, you might get confused here, but let me tell you that Fedora is actually upstream to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Means all Red Hat Enterprise Linux features are first tested on Fedora and then they were passed on to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So this makes Fedora the perfect distro to work with if you plan on working with Red Hat Enterprise Linux software. Other than this, Fedora is also great if you like staying on the bleeding edge of new technology. The distro gets access to new software as soon as they get released. Along with that, it is worth pointing out that Fedora focuses on open source software only. Closed source and proprietary software include drivers is unsupported in here. This means Fedora is no-go if your laptop is running an NVIDIA GPU. Now if I talk about some of its pros, so first one is it is backed by Red Hat Enterprise Linux, then it is stable and secure, then it offers bleeding edge distros, and then it has good integration with Snap and Flatpak. And basically Snap and Flatpaks are software repositories from where you can download different application software and packages, and it comes with vanilla GNOME. Now let's have a small demo of Fedora. Here you can see on your screen, this is how it looks like. If I press my super key, here we have different applications and then we have application menu button. So I'll just click on it. So these are different applications which we get in Fedora. Here you can see we have maps, we have clock, then we have our videos. And if I go further, here we have software. And from here you can download a different software and different applications for your use. And here we have Mozilla Firefox as default web browser. Then we have Rhythmbox for our audio files. Then we have our photos. Here, if I search for LibreOffice, yes, we do have LibreOffice available in Fedora. So how cool is that? That this Linux distribution offers almost every major application which a student might need to work with it. And on the top you can see we have two small windows, and it means Fedora offers to have multiple desktop environment, and it's a really cool feature. And I have already told you when we were talking about Manjaro that what is the benefit of having multiple desktop screens. So that was all about Fedora, and now let's move on to the last Linux distribution for our today's video. The last Linux distribution in my list is openSUSE. Just like Fedora, openSUSE is also intended towards developers. With openSUSE, you get access to the robust and stable platform. Students studying web development or interested in the cloud will surely find openSUSE a fantastic Linux distribution to try out. You get access to tons of useful and helpful tools to help you develop, deploy, and maintain your apps and website. This also includes YAST, which is one of the most comprehensive Linux system configuration and installation tools available right now. There are two options and you can choose any one of them depending on your needs. openSUSE gives you this option to choose between a rolling release version or a regular release version. In rolling release version, you have Tumbleweed, and in Tumbleweed, it has quick access to newer software, and in regular release version, you have Leap, and it focuses on stability and reliability. It is also highly configurable and gives you the option to choose between various desktop environments, like you can choose GNOME, you can choose KDE, and you have many more. And this distro has also an active community and has excellent documentation to help you. Now let's have a little bit of demo and see what are the features and what are the functionalities which are available in this Linux distribution. I have used GNOME desktop environment in my openSUSE. So as you can see on your screen, it is almost same like the one in Ubuntu. But the only difference is in Ubuntu, we get this bar by default. We do not have to press our super key. But as I have pressed my super key, these are the applications and menus which are almost the same in my openSUSE, just like my Ubuntu. So as I have told you, I am using the GNOME desktop environment, That is why some of the things are similar here. If I go to my applications, here you can see we have a lot of applications by default available. For web browser, we have Firefox, then we have LibreOffice for our documents, and we have Thunderbird Mail for our mail client. And here we have package sources and package updater. Everything related to packages will get handled in these two repositories. Either you want to install or download new packages, or if you want to update an existing one, you will do all these things from these two repositories. Then we have software. From here, we will download and install or update any application or software available in our repository in our system. So this is how openSUSE offers you almost every major application which you might need. So these were some of the basic functionalities or some of the basic features available in openSUSE. Now, if I press my super key again, I will press it again, and here you can see we have small window appeared here. And now you might have guessed it right that what the meaning of this one. It means we have multiple desktops. At the moment we only have one, but if I open my files here, and now I will press my super key again, and now if I drag it, and here you can see we have one more window appeared here. It means now we can drop these files in any one of them. So I will drop it into the second one, and here you can see now my file is in second one, and down here we have one more window appeared here. And I have already told you that what is the benefit of having multiple desktops. If I talk about this top bar, here we have time, date, and here we will have the notifications as well. And here we have some other widgets, like we have volume, then we have our internet settings, then we have our battery status, and down here we can do a bit of settings, then we can shut down or we can lock our system. So that was all about the openSUSE, and with that we got to the end of today's video, and I hope you must have learned a lot of new things. If that is the case, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon along with it. If you have something to ask, please leave a comment below. We will get back to you as soon as possible. Till the next video, take care.